Glad to be here. I'm actually broadcasting to you live from Montana. Just had a very productive series of meetings at the core shack in Stillwater. Glad to be here, and we're excited about the project. We are indeed building a world-class green metal resource in the USA. I will be making some forward-looking statements. Group 10 has 3 district-scale assets. The Stillwater West project is the focus of our work and our flagship going forward. We also have the high-grade gold Black Lake-Drayton project in Ontario. We recently signed a deal with Heritage Mining on that project. And we have a district-scale nickel PGE project in the Yukon. And we are looking for a similar deal on that to add additional value for shareholders while we focus on Stillwater. These are all district scale projects. They're all in excellent districts. We have 100% ownership on all projects. All earn-ins are complete. And we have a substantial database and a lot of information on these great districts. With that, you have the potential to advance some truly world-class discoveries. We have an excellent team. If you've heard of NovaGold, the success of NovaGold, we're taking a lot of pages from that book. Greg Johnson saw NovaGold from 10 cents a share to $2 billion in market cap on district scale assets that look, frankly, quite a lot like Stillwater. So we're looking to repeat that success. I've been in the mining business since 1990, and I'm a co-founder of Group 10. And we recently added Gordon Toll to the board. He's the past deputy chairman of Ivanhoe and also past chairman of Fortescue Minerals. So he's built some very large mines around the world, and he's extremely well connected. Our technical team is similarly world-class. We have Dr. Craig Bowe, who's well known in ultramafic circles. He's traveled the globe studying systems like Stillwater. And we have Mike Austenson, who's operated in the district for 20 years. He drilled some of the core that's in our database. Justin Madru is the vendor of the project and our geophysicist, and he's the one that led us to the opportunity in Stillwater. Dr. David Broughton is worth mentioning. He is the past chief geologist of Ivanhoe Mines, and that Platte Reef mine that Ivanhoe is building in South Africa, has built now, actually, in South Africa, is one of our targets here. We are essentially bringing Platte Reef to Montana, and everything in our work has shown that that is correct. We recently debuted our first resource estimate on the project, and that's of course a very big step for any junior mining company. This is a substantial nickel sulfide resource in the US in a producing district with good copper and cobalt as well, and a healthy dose of PGEs and gold. In total, almost 700 million pounds of nickel, about half that in copper, and then 2.4 million ounces of PGEs and gold on top of that. Very robust debut, and one that we see lots of room to expand upon. At a higher grade cutoff, so you're now looking at more of a selective mining scenario, still a robust debut, even as you move to perhaps an underground mining model. We're very encouraged by the continuity that we see here, and we see terrific room to expand these resources. Our 2021 drill program was aimed at expanding this, and we've only reported 2 of those 14 holes to date. So lots of assays pending that should help us grow these numbers this year. We are very much focused on green metals. Our resources show about 42% nickel, 20% palladium, 10 and 12% copper and cobalt, and then on down, including platinum and rhodium and gold. Our objective, to become a primary US-based source of battery and precious metals. 5 of our target commodities have been listed as critical by the US government. And of course, we're in a famously productive US district that hosts 3 mines and a smelter already right next door to us. Nickel supply and demand. The demand is growing dramatically, driven by electric vehicles. The supply curve is expected to split from demand as soon as 2026 and even in 2023 by other more recent studies. So there's a great shortage of nickel coming, and we're already seeing metal stores in the London Metal Exchange diminishing. This is very positive for us, as we have sulfide nickel in the US. Sulfide nickel is important because it converts more easily to nickel sulfate that is used in the production of batteries. So to have this in the first world is a great plus. Similar for PGE, you're probably familiar with the palladium and rhodium prices of the past few years. They're at sustained elevated highs. Rhodium took $1,100 US jump just today, which is marvelous to see as we have rhodium in the US. Platinum is a key point here. Platinum is undervalued. It's widely expected to move up. It's finally in supply shortage again in the past 2 years. And it is the preferred catalyst for the production of green hydrogen, for the cracking of water with electricity. And it's the preferred catalyst for the consumption of that hydrogen in fuel cells. So we're glad to have that in the US. Copper, cobalt, similar demand from the electrical vehicle market. Interesting to note that Goldman Sachs recently updated their long-term copper price significantly upwards. We're happy to have copper sulfide, cobalt sulfide in the US. Here's a look at our land position. Our claims are shown in yellow and Sibanye-Stillwater shown in gray. It's unusual for a junior to share such a famous, iconic district as this with a major, and we're glad to be there. Sibanye, of course, bought the Stillwater mines in 2017 for $2.2 billion. Together, we cover the Stillwater district. This is a very rare package of rocks globally, and it's one of the biggest and best of its type. Magmatic systems are rare, and magmatic systems with grade and production are even more rare. As a result, we own 100% of 61 square kilometers. The district is known for the JM Reef deposit. This is owned and mined by Sibanye-Stillwater. This is the highest grade palladium platinum deposit in the world. It's also a nickel copper sulfide deposit, as that is the base that these metals occur in. And they have rhodium, gold, silver, other commodities as well. The deposit is that thin purple line that crosses the screen in the middle of their gray claim block. They run three mines on that one deposit, and they operate a smelter off the screen in Columbus, Montana. This is 100 million ounces of high-grade palladium platinum, 87 million ounces in their current resources, about 14 million currently past mined. This speaks to how much metal was in the magmatic pulses that made this system. We share that magmatic stratigraphy with them, and it's a rich and large system. If you look at this layered magmatic system, it looks a lot like the Bushveld complex of South Africa. In the upper portion of both systems in green, the layers are visible, and you get narrow reef-type deposits, such as the JM Reef that my neighbor is mining. In the lower portions of these systems, you get big, bulk mineable, disseminated nickel copper sulfide systems. That's our target. That's our focus, and that's what our resources are focused on. The parallels here are Ivanhoe's Platte Reef mine and Anglo American's Mahalaquena mine. In total, the Platte Reef district of South Africa hosts 400 million ounces of PGEs and gold, tens of billions of pounds of nickel and copper as sulfides. We're going to focus on that center portion of the claim block shown in yellow there. This is the most advanced portion of the project. This is an IP geophysical survey that we completed in 2020 and just recently expanded in 2021. That news release went out last week and is actually not reflected here. On this image, you see the very large, very high-level geophysical anomalies generated by that survey at up to a depth of 800 meters. In blue, you have the conductivity of the rock, and in pink, the chargeability of the rock. And this is spanning 9.2 kilometers in the core of the project. Very large and robust anomalies, and they correlate beautifully with those deposits, which are shown in yellow. So this is 1.1 billion pounds of nickel, copper, and cobalt, 2.4 million ounces of PGEs and gold. And the correlation here for us to expand, the room for us to grow is terrific. Each of these deposits is open into adjacent anomalies and at depth, and we've seen down as far as 800 meters. Also worth noting that right next door to us in that thin purple line is the 100 million ounce deposit of our neighbor. In fact, they're mining it just over here. A lot of metal in this system, and large deposits are possible. How does that look on a plan map? These two figures show metal in soil. So pink is a lot of metal in soil, green and blue are very little. The deposit areas are shown in the dotted lines. So if I could get my cursor to work. So there's one deposit, there's another, and then the big one over here. And you see the correlation between the soils and that hybrid deposit there. We announced this drill hole in December, just before Christmas, and we announced another one from camp. These are all high-grade results. Typically, we see hundreds of meters of bulk mineable mineralization, and then within that, intervals of higher and higher grade. So we've got good optionality on mine method, and we're seeing very good tenor of nickel and sulfides. We're seeing that over a wide distance too. These two targets are 7 kilometers apart, and they appear like they want to connect. So we've got a lot of room to grow this, and thanks to the work we've done, we see a lot of potential to grow this. As a debut, our resources position us nicely at the upper end of the pack of our peers and comparables in terms of contained metal. The companies to the right of us here generally have larger studies in place, engineering studies, mine plans, and that's where we aspire to go to. It's worth noting Canada Nickel is an aspirational peer for us. They have a large magmatic system like us. They have similar nickel grades. We add precious metals to that they don't have. However, they show what's possible here in terms of contained metal. On a grade basis, similarly, we've made a good debut, puts us in the upper middle of the pack. And there's Canada Nickel's grade on a nickel equivalent % basis. And then on market capitalization, Canada Nickel, much higher market cap, and again, something that we aspire to, and we think we see a pathway to get to their market cap here. It's worth noting Noront in that context, because of course they were the subject of a bidding war between two giants of the mining industry, Wyloo out of Australia, but with Andrew Forrest, and BHP, largest mining company in the world. There are very few nickel districts available, very few projects of size available. And Noront, the bidding war there was not so much about the Eagle deposit, but about the control of that district. We control the district at Group 10, at Stillwater, and we think that sort of scenario is entirely possible given time as we continue to work on the project. There's a broader look at the expansion potential of the project across the full 25-kilometer span of the main claim block. In blue here, you have the area we just focused on, the 9.2-kilometer core area. This hosts the main deposits that we've debuted, and that's what we've modeled in 3D, as you saw. We have soil anomalies, sorry, these are geophysical anomalies. We have conductive anomalies extending west and extending east from that shows further potential to expand the project. In addition, we've got soil anomalies, metals in soil that are lighting the way for us in terms of expanding the project. It's worth noting that we have 12 drill holes left to report from last year, and we have a total of 133 drill holes in the database that we have not incorporated into our resource models to date, and these are guiding us across the property. Those are important. That's important information for us as we look to test new areas and expand from our current resources. Very high levels of gold, palladium, and platinum in soils at the Pine target in particular at the west. And we look forward to advancing these in the coming year. So we've moved quickly. We made the initial acquisition in 2017. We did our initial block modeling and our first drill campaign in 2019, drilled again in 2020, and we did that geophysical survey that was so helpful and pivotal to us. 2021, we debuted our inaugural resources, and we did a largest drill campaign to date that will look to expand that. We think we have expanded it. We also continued our IP survey work. Upcoming events, news flow. We've now announced the IP results just last week. Drill results are coming quickly here. Agreements on non-core assets, we're in some good discussions on that. You'll see further work on our carbon sequestration at Stillwater and on metallurgy. And ultimately an updated resource estimate. That is one of our objectives for the year. Have a look at our capital structure. It's been a tough market. Things have been going sideways for a while. We've held up better than a lot of our peers. We trade good volumes. We're still far below where we feel we should be valued. We're about 60 million market cap. Recent analyst coverage suggests we should be at 132 million, so more than a double just on that basis. And they cut our resource in half just to arrive at that number, just to be conservative. So you could argue for even a 4 times from where we are now. We currently have 3 million cash in the bank and 16 million of in-the-money warrants and options. So we're well funded, we're permitted, and we're looking forward to our biggest programs yet this year. In overview, a lot of potential. This is a terrific district. It's rare for a junior like Group 10 to hold 100% of half a district like this. It's well mineralized, and yet it's underexplored. And our methods are working very effectively to target grade in this famous and very rich district. Our rate of discovery and our discovery costs are very favorable. We're a growth stage company. We have an excellent team. We're fully permitted and funded, and we have 3 100% owned assets. With that, I'd be glad to go over to any questions.
Thank you, Michael. And a few questions here from the audience. The first one coming from Sahib. He's asking, do you think your exit strategy here for Group 10?
The typical model would be get bought out by a major, and we certainly feel that Stillwater has all the markings. If you'd seen us at the Roundup show, we had majors at the booth then. We've talked to basically all the big names at this point, and some of them are under NDA. Do we want to sell the company at this stage? It's early. We see a lot of value we can add for shareholders first, so we're looking for a certain structure of deal before we sell the company off. We see lots of value we can add at Stillwater before we get to that straight sale. JV or something, you know, we'll see what offers are brought forward. I wouldn't rule out an automaker partnering on this as well, frankly. You know, this is nickel sulfide, copper and cobalt in the U.S. We may see other interests come in as well.
Sure. Yeah, I think you well answered the next question from Rod Roberts. He's asking, you mentioned high-level meetings at Stillwater. Yeah, I think you pretty much answered that. I think I'm not sure more that you can disclose in terms of those high-level meetings.
Yeah, no, it's we've attracted good attention. In fact, even a couple of years ago, and certainly now, our resources last year have certainly heightened that intention. We're very credible now, and what we're drilling, you know, these are high tenor nickel sulfides, 8.5 meters, 1.1% nickel with good-looking metallurgy in a district like this. That's got attention. So yes.
Yes, and the next one from Tyler is what kind of local community support you have there in Montana?
So far, we're riding on Sibanye-Stillwater's coattails. They're very well liked here. They have an excellent good neighbor agreement in place that is actually a good template for the industry. This district has been mining since the 1800s. There are old adits and campfires and things all over our property from high-grade nickel and copper production, chrome. It's really fun, and it's a great district to be producing in. Yeah, it seems like a very pro-resource area. Montana, of course, oil and gas is a big contributor to the state economy. And we're in South Montana, and that's sort of more to the east. This whole area is pro-resource.
The final question here from Jason on the Chinese side is asking, are you going to need to do any financing anytime soon?
No plans for financing, and certainly not at these prices. We have enough cash to do a bigger program this year, and we've got a lot of good conversations underway. So for now, we're just going to work on the share price, get this news out. We have some other initiatives underway as well, and we'll see where that leads. I'll be on the road a lot this spring and summer, promoting, getting the word out. So see what we can do there first.
Important to increase your awareness one way or the other. So thank you, Mike, for spending your time here with us to update the story.
You bet. Thank you. Thanks for the hard work. Cheers.
Thank you.